It would not have been possible to produce all of the sessions and content for Punchback Print and bring you all of this content for free without the help of our amazing sponsors. So without further ado, here is a quick word from one of them.
Hi, this is Zainaid Rahman, Marketing Manager for Duplo UK from the top of Mount Vesuvius, Italy. If marketers were to learn that the addition of touch to traditional print translates into a 24% increase in value, and that motivation from embellished direct mail outperforms digital media's motivation score by 30%, we do not believe that many marketers would pass by utilizing these mediums as part of a marketing campaign.
So I want to say thanks to all my panel here today who will introduce themselves to you in a moment for giving up their time to do this session with us. So in this session, I'll be talking to this group of expert panelists and challenging them. They're from the fields of print management, trade print, and print technology manufacturing, software development, to ask if they are part of the solution for our industry going forward, or actually if they're part of the problem. So I'll just now go to everyone to ask them to introduce themselves. So Anthony, if we could start with you.
Hello, my name's Anthony Rowell. I'm Customer Success Director, responsibility for sales, customer success and pre-press at Trade Print.
Great. Phil.
Hello everybody, my name's Phil McMullen. I'm the sales manager for Epsom UK in the wide format division. So that encompasses proofing, photography, and these days signage, textiles, and labels as well. So yeah, interested to join the conversation today. Thank you.
Great. Mike.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike Roberts, Managing Director of PMG Print Management and also the President of the Independent Print Industry Association, which is an honour to have that position. And I've been running PMG for the last 17 years.
Tom.
Hi, my name is Tom Pere. I'm founder and CEO of 4Ps. Started my career, I believe, about 25 years ago. I think it's nearly date to date, 25 years ago.
Thank you, Tom. So I'm now going to move to the first question, which I'm going to pose to you, Mike, which is print management companies sometimes stand accused by printers of driving down prices in the print industry as a whole, and essentially contributing to its consolidation over the last 10 years in particular. Do you think that's true? Is that a fair accusation that's been leveled at you guys?
Well, is it a historical view or is it a current view? That's maybe another question, but I think in my experience over the years, having worked at a couple of businesses that have had success in very different ways, but positive success, I think going back a number of years, the major players, whether you call it the Big Five or what, Big Ten, they were very aggressive commercially. They were very, very aggressive commercially. At the other end of the relationship, there were bad payers as well. But I'd like to think that is generally a legacy situation now. I think the print management market has matured, and in the main, certainly in the scale of operations I'm more familiar with and operating within the IPAA, etc. I think the relationship is so much more about that partnership. Years ago when I started, when it was print brokering at Alistair McIntosh, it was absolutely drilled into me that clients and suppliers were to be treated the same, with the same reverence. You know, we didn't over-negotiate. We were very fair on price and we paid to terms. And that's something I've always carried with me in my business. But then, you know, here's the thing. The procurement professionals have a hand in this. It's all right having a go at print management companies in the past or even now, but the people running the tenders that people participate in, they're the ones chasing numbers. They're the ones that put things out there. You know, e-tenders, are they a good thing for the industry or not? I know what I think, and I choose not to take part in those. but that limits the growth of my business. But I view that as bad as some of the behaviour of some of the print management companies, either in the past or currently. And also a legacy problem in our industry. Print manufacturers, there have been an absolute swathe of print manufacturers that have led on price, completely led on price. I could name suppliers even to this day that we send an RFQ to them, they send the price back, they follow up like they should, and the first thing they say is, let me know if I need to do anything on price. So again, we're all complicit one way or another, and I think to just single out the print managers, or certainly print managers 2020 or 2019, putting COVID aside. But, you know, we all need to understand what our pressures are, and it is ultimately, it's all about survival. So part of your question to me there earlier, Brendan, was, you know, is it, well, what's more accurate about PMs contributing to consolidation over the last 10 years? Well, I think ultimately it's survival that's led to consolidation, not bad practice by print management companies necessarily, and not just bad practice by maybe procurement professionals running the tenders, but the rate of change in technology, you know, the speeds of digital now or inkjet versus conventional, the scale of investment required to stay in the game. You know, all these pressures, consumption has changed, the way we interact has changed, and that has affected volume in various areas of our industry. So it's all about this fight to survive, and the margins sometimes haven't been strong enough against the investment that the print providers have had to make. And what else can they do other than consolidate? So, you know, maybe print management, some of the bigger, I'm always going to say the bigger ones, because that's my experience, the bigger print management companies are aggressive. But I know of some trade printers now, you know, right now, that are enjoying better prices on product to a new print management vendor than they were enjoying from the previous, bearing in mind they've gone through a tender process, and it's for the same end user. So do I feel print management is the bad boy? No, I don't believe it is.
And okay, well, just to bring Anthony in on that point, Anthony, you've been on the other side of the coin in the industry for many years. You've been part of the whole supply chain. Where has this bad rep for, you know, what was the print broker, and still this sort of, you know, urban myth almost about the big bad print management company hurting prices in the industry? Where do you think that comes from? Is there truth in it?
Well, I think I agree with a lot of the points Mike made about the bigger print management businesses, but I certainly didn't feel like the devil incarnate when I was working for Inner Workings. You know, we treated our supply chain, you know, really equitably, very fairly, but they put themselves under pressure because they want the volume so that they can invest in the new technology, and technology is changing so quickly, and you know, that's a huge challenge for suppliers. And I think buyers have become more savvy and more professional in their approach to negotiating contracts. So they've certainly put you know, your traditional printer is in the spotlight when he's got a procurement guy breathing down his neck.
So now moving on to a direct question to you, Anthony, is that you know, I've heard it described as the industry eating its own tail. Trade printers, you know, trade printers of your size and scale in the UK are likewise characterized sometimes as depressing prices, accelerating the trend of print commoditization. What do you think of that view of the larger trade print house? Is it accurate? Is there truth to that statement?
Well, when we look at it, our core base for many years has been you know, supplying print businesses or print resellers. So, you know, and that's the broker, that's the B2 printer who doesn't do B1. It's a digital house that wants a litho requirement. So if there's any accusation of commoditization driven by us, an online e-commerce printer, then I don't think there's any grounds in that, really. The commoditization's been driven by the requirement of the end customer, whether that's putting pressure on the print manager to buy it more effectively, or coming direct or indirectly to us to make us offer those cheaper prices.
Okay, and in terms of how you get feedback, how do you work with your customers on a daily basis? Do they see you as a support and a help, or do they see you kind of as the enemy that they have to deal with because of your size and scale?
Well, I don't think we've got such big size and scale. You know, there's bigger players in the e-commerce area than us. But we try and be very relationship led. You know, we try and share the personality of the business with our customers, and we deploy things like Zendesk ticketing software to help us drive customer satisfaction. You know, we embrace Trustpilot and all those things that you would tend to embrace in a retail environment to try and drive exceptional customer service. And I think the fact that we're very customer facing out there, you can pick up the phone and speak to us, you can email us, you can have a chat with us over live chat. I think we make our personality come through, and that's what we want our customers to understand. I think we were one of the first, if not the first, upload and print business in the UK. We didn't do that to erode prices and sell stuff cheap. Stack it high, sell it cheap was not the theory behind that business model. The e-commerce and the technology side of the business was there to provide a channel to sell more printing more cost effectively, so that we could sell it effectively to a print reseller who makes a margin. So it was only when other businesses inevitably came into the sector, and there was more of a price battle, and that was sort of 3 years ago, 4 years ago, just as I was arriving in my new role at Tradeprint. And since then, we've looked to add value, build relationships, offer extensions to products, optimize our products so we can be more cost effective for those clients, and help support businesses. You know, there's a lot of print businesses out there that can't afford to invest, so they rely on us for certain product lines that they can't produce in-house cost effectively because of the pressures of the market.
So do Tom or Phil or Mike, do any of you guys want to come in on any of those points that have been made so far?
From our point of view, it's not really our area of expertise, but clearly in every industry and every walk of life, there are good players and there are poor players, and I think it depends on where you feel as a business you want to focus. But at the end of the day, we've all got to make a living and make it sustainable. I think that's the key for us, is the sustainability of it. And if you treat your customers and suppliers in a poor manner, then the sustainability, particularly these days, is going to be questionable.
I think if I can just make a quick observation or a comment. I think for me, being a print management company is all about being independent, and the fact that we're independent of production. And one of our phrases is that our agenda is that of the client. We don't have a factory to fill, and we can give the flexibility or the choice, the freedom of choice, whatever you want to say. And I think that's going to be even more relevant as we eventually come out of the current situation that the global economy faces, where things are going to have to change, volumes will change, sizes of things are going to change, frequency of things, and that's where there's a great opportunity, I believe, for print management to add value to the industry.
And Tom, did you want to come in on any of those points that you've heard? I mean, you are very much exposed to this whole supply chain more than anyone, actually. So what's your view?
Well, first of all, I think it's always easy to blame the other for things going bad. And I think that looking for that scapegoat is always something that people tend to do. I think that the current crisis certainly hasn't helped a number of things, but I also think that much of the trends that we currently see are actually just an extension of what was happening already. To me, a web-to-print vendor or a web-to-print platform is more a technology company than it really is a printer. That's not me saying it. That's the CEO of Shutterfly that told that himself when asked what kind of company they were. Well, they're a technology that happens to be printing.
So Phil, the question to you is, OEM technology developers in the print industry are sometimes accused by printers of just shifting grey boxes to hit sales targets. Do you think that is a fair estimation?
To go back to Tom's point, we're a technology company. We're in the technology of providing devices, particularly in my area, wide format devices for being coloured marks on media of your choice. But we're not actually a printer sales company. We're an ink company. So we spend $1.5 million every day on R&D to develop the next generation of printers so that we can sell more ink in the future. And what we know about the print industry is two basic things. One is a relatively small industry and everybody talks, so your reputation precedes you pretty rapidly. And the second thing we know is that if a customer of ours is very happy with the particular piece of tin that we supply them, they will put a lot of ink through that particular piece of tin, whatever that device will actually produce for you. So it's very much in our interest to make sure that the technology we develop is going to be loved and utilized by the end customer. That will get us, Epsom, to our end goal, which is selling more ink. So for us, it's not so much about the number of units that we get out into the field. I mean, clearly we all exist here. Everybody here in the discussion, everybody in the audience exists to make a profit and survive another day. And for us, making that profit is also about being able to then reinvest in the R&D and therefore survive for another year, another decade. So by looking at the market and getting feedback from the market as to what the frustrations are at the sharp end, our R&D guys will go back and look at how they can leverage the technology we have, develop new technologies, and then potentially bring a product to market that actually addresses those issues. So unlike, we're a Japanese company, as most people know, unlike, say, an American technology company who would tend to take the approach of designing and developing and bringing something to market and then trying to work out how someone's going to use it and how they're going to sell it. We very much take the opposite approach, is that, our guys go out into the market. I often feel like a chauffeur when I get visited by our Japanese colleagues, our engineers and designers. They come over to the UK. They like to come to the UK because they speak very good English. They don't have to speak German or French or Italian, so they don't visit those markets. They visit the UK. And quite often my job pre-COVID, obviously, is taking around to our partners, taking around to printers in the industry and just absorbing what's going on. And they go with their notebooks and they take notebook after notebook of data, of information, of feedback as to what are the frustrations, what are the desires, what does perfect look like in the future. And they'll take that back to Japan and they'll design something that they feel will deliver to the market. So yes, we have sales targets like everybody else we need to meet, but it's about getting that technology right so that the unit goes into the field and then gets loved and used until the next iteration comes along. And a really good example of that is our signage product, which is the SureColor 8600, which is now the best-selling 64-inch signage printer in the world. And that was quite a late entry into the market. Only just over 3 years ago, the market was dominated by a lot of other players that people would be familiar with, and we had something like a 3% market share in the UK on 64-inch printer. So our printer took it to the next level, and it was designed to exceed people's vision. There's no accident. That's our corporate logo, exceed your vision, and that's what it's done, and that's moved us into an area where we're at 35% market share today, and the number one position. So it is a different approach that Epsom is taking. I'd say a lot of it will be in our Japanese heritage, but it's particularly relevant to our organization and how we see things. So the desire really is to help those smaller print businesses out there, and it is typically the smaller to middle-sized print businesses that Epsom is looking to focus on. Our equipment is often very low cost. The barriers to entry to Epsom equipment tends to be much lower than some of the other technologies. So it's enabling those PSPs to jump into various areas quickly, easily, and with the color knowledge that they have and the ability to design interesting output, really gets you into those spaces and locks your customer in with all the branding opportunities those hard-won customers can provide you with.
So Tom, I'm going to move to you now. Software technology developers in the past in the print industry often build their automation, their workflow, or their MIS systems as the answer to all of printers' problems. But printers often criticize software vendors for overhyping the performance of their systems and that they don't actually live up to the sales pitch. Do you think that's a valid viewpoint? And why do you think that characterization, which you sometimes hear around the bars and in trade exhibitions and so forth, exists?
Well, it's a viewpoint that doesn't come out of thin air. So there must be some level of truth in it. I believe that specifically in the print industry, and I really say specifically in the print industry, there's what I would call it's tough talk, right? So there's a perverse line of thinking that you're better off spending a couple of grand buying a new machine to increase production capacity or optimize your production rather than to look at the process before that and spend half of the amount or even that complete amount on actually trying to optimize the process in front of that machine. That is still very hard for many business owners to grasp. I would say that while the virtues of certain softwares are overrated, it would be a capital mistake to conclude, therefore, that an investment in software or services is a mistake. There's a difference between finding some rotten apples in your basket and then throw away the entire basket along with that. Our economy is increasingly digitized, and the specific knowledge that we have in our industry with younger generations is degrading what we see. When we interact with people at printing plants, things like overprint, things like bleed, all the technicalities that I'm afraid people of the older generation I now belong to still know is more and more disappearing. It's simply not there anymore. And I believe that therefore it is of strategic importance for printers to adapt to that new reality and to invest in systems that have that knowledge embedded in the process. To make sure that the order that comes in, that the order, they can take an order online at any moment a millennial wants to place an order. We still see customers asking themselves whether they should invest in web to print. Whether they should have an online storefront. I think it's a non-issue. I think it's one of the channels that a print company should sell through. And then depending on which type of customers you're trying to target, you will adapt that storefront to the specific needs of that customer. But having that online presence, I believe, is crucial. And then having the systems behind that are capable of taking that order and processing that completely automatically with all the embedded knowledge in there, I think is a logical subsequence of having that infrastructure. So to me, while some of the and to go back to your original question, while some of the features of software or of certain software vendors are certainly overrated. I think it does not at all diminish the need of an investment in software. And I think that unfortunately, it is currently by still too many printers underestimated what the importance is of that investment. I believe that software vendors sometimes suffer from a certain sense of tunnel vision, or call it a not invented here syndrome, where they're driven by sales, and where they believe that their product is going to solve the issue of that customer. What you see is that in marketing terminology of software vendors, the word solution is often used as an alternative for a product and a technology, and it's not that. It's just a product and a technology. It's only a solution if a number of elements come together. And I think that confuses the customer on one hand, as they see that product or that technology as the solution to their problem. It's therefore a misconception that sometimes is triggered, or you could say is triggered by the vendor, but it's also enforced by the customer who wants a quick fix, who wants an easy way out. So to a certain extent, you could also say that it's part of the responsibility of the customer, at least in our experience, to oversimplify software and undervalue software because it's just software. So we tend to have a different view on that. We believe that software never stands alone. It's not just one piece of software that will form a solution. It integrates in a process together with other software that exists, that precedes you, that typically you have to integrate with. There's machinery that it has to talk to, and most importantly, it has to interact with people. So I believe that that's a significant part of the implementation that often is forgotten. In order to even be able to suggest a solution to a customer, we believe that you have to have a thorough understanding of what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And that's where it often goes wrong. The customer definition of a problem or of a need is very frequently something like, I want to do web to print, or can you automate my production? While the easy answer for us would be just to say yes. Very often our answer then specifically is, that depends. We really don't know. And that then leads to a discussion with the customer, which leads to a more in-depth analysis of what we're trying to solve, and ultimately a specification of what we're going to do, what we're going to implement, and how.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think the key takeaway from this session has to be that whether it is trade print, OEM technology developers, print management companies, agencies, software developers, and technology vendors, all of these people that are here and these sectors that are represented here today on this session are actually, their end goal is to make sure that the commercial print industry thrives, that the SME printer thrives. So engage with them. You can look up Anthony, Phil, Mike, and Tom on LinkedIn via the website for the Punchback Print Conference. Engage with them, message them, pick them up on questions. If you don't agree with them, go and shout at them. I'm sure that they'll shout back.
Definitely.
Otherwise, thank you very much to all of our experts here today. It's been very informative and fun, and thank you for taking part in Tough Talk.